Hello, and welcome to another episode of That Made Your List, a weekly podcast where an average, ordinary film fan, me, interviews other average, ordinary film fans. My name is Dave Goodger, and joining me this week we have Ryan Permison? Permison? How are we saying that, Ryan?
It would be Permison, that's how you pronounce it.
Okay, I'm not too far wrong with that then. Okay, before we get started with the questions, Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Alrighty, well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on your show. It's great to be here. I am from a little state over here in the U.S. It's called Maryland. I am in Towson, Maryland, to be a little bit more specific. 30 years old, been a film fan for as long as I can remember. Around the age of about 5 or 6 is when it really started to take off for me, and movies are in my blood. They always have been, they always will be, and I can't wait to see more and more films as I go throughout the course of my life, and I'm just happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, that's great. No problem. Thank you at all. Right, so let's dive into it. One of the most difficult questions on the list is right at the top there. What is your favourite film?
You know, there are so many films that I've seen in my life, and some I've seen more so than others. I've seen a number of films in the theaters, and depending on how good the film is, I'll see it multiple times in the theaters. But the one that holds the record, and the one that I really enjoy the most in this case, would be, it came out a few years ago. It's a little small film. You may have heard of it. It's called Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. It holds the record for me. I saw it 6 times in the movie theaters. I recently rewatched it a few weeks ago after the events of Episode 8, which was The Last Jedi, and I gotta say, it still holds up. I have a big smile on my face while I'm watching The Force Awakens pretty much all the way through it, and I just love it to pieces. I really do.
No, absolutely. A good film. Absolutely. A welcome return after the nightmare that was the prequels, really. Although some of the prequels holds up, I think, if you look at them with a unwashed eyes. But no, The Force Awakens is... I was hoping for the best. I wasn't quite sure if J.J. Abrams, obviously the director, would bring the best out of it, but came out of the cinema, like what you, a massive smile on my face, and really enjoyed the film. Good film. Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. I was clapping at the very end, and I was doing a little bit of a chant that says "Thank you, JJ," you know. And then I was also going all like Nature Boy Ric Flair was like, "Woo, greatest of all time, greatest of all time," because I was just so happy and excited and adrenalinized, if that's even a word in the English language. I don't know if it is, but yeah, I was just on a huge high after seeing it for the first time and then seeing it again and again and again. I mean, you get so many chills and thrills from that movie alone. There's so many scenes you can pick and choose from that are just mind-boggling, eye-opening, and just it's almost like getting your heart shocked. It's just it's a ton of, it's like 10 million volts of electricity coursing through you while you're watching the course of the film.
Absolutely. I mean, there's the part, obviously it helps having the core 3 come back, or 4 I suppose if you include Chewie as well on there, and that line, it was in the first trailer that they put out, the Chewie we're home, as he's there back on the Falcon for the first time. It brings chills to you. Obviously,
absolutely,
it's got its detractors just as much. Those people that, because it does follow a lot of similar beats to Episode 4.
Yes,
there's no denying it. I mean, he put his own spin on it. There's no exact beat for beat parts, but obviously there's another big space station. There's another trench run. There's another but yeah, I mean, I really enjoy it myself. It's one that I watch numerous occasions. I've got it on DVD. I've got it recorded on both of my DVR boxes upstairs and downstairs. So if I ever want to watch it, I just press a button and away you go. No, good start, good film. Right, moving on. What was the last film you watched? Now, it's either cinema or sitting at home on your couch.
Well, I've been watching some films here and there on my couch, but I don't fully complete that. I've just been watching bits and pieces here and there, to help pass the time. So I'm going to leave those alone for a minute. But the last full-length film I saw was in the theaters. I was with a friend of mine. We went and saw a little Western film. It's called Hostiles. It stars Christian Bale, Wes Studi, Rosamund Pike, if you remember her from Gone Girl, as well as other films she's done in the past. And I got to say, it is one of my favorite. I mean, I know 2018 has just started, and I know on a technicality level it's still a 2017 film because it was released limited released a few months ago, but then the wide release came here in the month of January, and it released here in my neck of the woods here in Maryland. So for me, I count it as a 2018 film. When a film goes into wide release, I don't think limited release really counts. It's just an Academy thing. It's a technicality rule, but it's just silly. But yeah, Hostels, 100%. It was great. I gave it a 10 out of 10. That's how I rate my movies on a scale from 1 being garbage to 10 being a masterpiece. And for me, Hostels was truly a really good Western, a really well-made film and well-acted. I think it's a slow burn of a film, but it's one of those slow burns that really works well for the kind of story that director, I believe it's Scott Cooper, is telling. Yeah. So if you have not seen Hostels, I strongly advise you to check this out.
I've not even seen it come through on our screens yet, so I don't even know if it's actually been released out here. I would have thought it had done. If it's been released over there, they don't normally have them too much of a difference apart now. But no, I've not seen too much of it. It's another Western for Bale, because obviously he did the 310 to Yuma.
Yes, and that is remake. One of my favorite Western movies. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's I really like the remake. Obviously, not seen this. There's been some good westerns out recently. I really enjoyed. I don't know about yourself. I really enjoyed the remake of The Magnificent Seven with Denzel.
Yes, I enjoyed that too. I have it really here in my Blu-ray collection. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, because I do enjoy a good western. Hopefully, it's a comeback for the genre. Yeah, that's one that I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Then when it does come over here, if I get to see it. Brilliant. Okay, right. Moving on then. What's your favourite action/adventure film?
It's so hard to choose one because that's a genre that's so big and there's so many good ones. Yeah, it is. It's so wide. It's a huge area to cover. But if I had to pick one, this is an action-adventure film I've watched probably more than a lot of the others that I have within my collection. He was the first actor I gravitated towards with the James Bond series. I got to go with my man, Pierce Brosnan, 1995's GoldenEye. I love that movie. I've seen it so many times. Every time I pop it in, I know what's coming, but I just can't help but smile, and it's fun. It's a fun action adventure with a really good story, and the characters are great. The casting is just incredible. I mean, long before she was Jean Grey, she was Xenia Onatopp.
Yeah, Famke Janssen.
That's right, man. Yes.
Absolutely.
So you had her in there. You had so many other actors coming in. It was great.
Yeah, the cast is really good. Also, you got Sean Bean as 00, whichever one, 6. Was he 6? That wasn't there?
Yes, 006.
He was 6. Yeah. Judi Dench coming in, the repeating role for Robbie Coltrane as the Russian.
Yes. Valentin Sokovsky.
Yes. Yeah, really, really good cast.
You had Alan Cumming as Boris Koryshenko.
Oh, of course, yes. With the exploding pen at the end there as he's flicking it round and round his fingers.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
No, absolutely. Brosnan was a good Bond. I think it was let down by the filmmaking itself of the Bonds. The Bonds themselves were becoming, that type of Bond was becoming a bit tired with the gadgets and the invisible cars and that and the other. I think he got let down by the films. He was always a good Bond, I thought. But
yeah, Die Another Day wasn't the best way for Pierce Brosnan to go out.
No, not at all. In GoldenEye, there's a lot of firsts in GoldenEye. It was the first time that a German car was used as the Bond car with the BMW Z3. Yes, the BMW Z3 was used. It was the first time because normally Bond drove Aston Martins. It was the first time the BMW was used for there. It was the first non-Fleming story.
Yep.
Completely original story on there. God, what else was there? There's loads of these. I read up on it in an article not so long ago. It was the first Bond film to use CGI because they used it on the gun scope in the intro. That was done by computers. It's the first time that it was ever been done using CGI. It's the first female M, obviously with Judi Dench, and also the first Bond film to be released on DVD.
Oh wow!
And everything else, obviously, all the others have since been released, but that was the first one that got released on DVD, and then, so yeah, a film of firsts, a good film. I do enjoy watching Bond films. I must admit, even the cheesy Roger Moore ones. But,
yeah, I watched Live and Let Die, and then after that I was like, yeah, Roger Moore era isn't for me. I'm sorry. I'm going to go to the next person, please. And then I went over to Timothy Dalton's 2 Bond films, and then I got into, obviously, Pierce was the first time I was fully exposed to the James Bond series, and then it moved on to Daniel Craig, and the Bond franchise has had a heck of a run, over 50 plus years of cinematic history. It's
absolutely,
great.
Absolutely. Okay, fantastic. Right, and what's your favourite horror?
Well, when it comes to this genre, this is one of the genres I respect it as a genre, and there are bits and pieces of it that I like, but it's not my most favorite genre, if you will. But if we had to go this route, which clearly we are, I'm gonna have to go with a film that came out some years ago. It was really, really good. I liked its sequel, but I think the original was slightly better. I'm gonna go with The Conjuring on this one.
Oh right, yep.
The Conjuring by James Wan, and you had Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, among others, in that first film. I've seen some scary films before, I thought the original Paranormal Activity was a really, really good horror film, even though it was a found footage kind of film, but the very end of it was just bone-chilling. But The Conjuring, man, you had scares every minute, you had thrills and chills every minute, and the cast really drove the story so well, and James Wan has really evolved from doing the first installment of the Saw franchise, which, by the way, I saw that film and I couldn't sleep for a week, so thanks a lot for that. Jigsaw and James Wan, I'm never watching that franchise ever again, thanks a lot. But hey, look at James Wan now. He's doing a DC film known as Aquaman coming out at the end of this year. Can't wait to see what he does with it. But yeah, The Conjuring for me I think it has everything you want in a horror film and more. It's not just about the scares, it's about the story and how the characters get to that point and how creepy and, how it escalates throughout the course of the film. So The Conjuring, kudos to everybody. It was a really well-made film.
Yeah, and tell you, I'm like you. I don't dislike horror films. I get into my head that, let's watch a horror. This horror, this looks good. I'll get 5 minutes into it, I'll get the creeps, and my spine's twitching, and let's just watch this fluff film that's nice and happy and shiny things, and I like the idea of horror films, but I'm not a massive fan of them personally. But I've heard good things about James Wan, as you say. He's getting himself a good reputation as a filmmaker, and he's then moving on now to the mainstream films. It's not just horror he's getting now, he's moving on to DC, so that's nice. Okay. What's your favourite drama?
Once again, this is a genre that has a lot of ground to cover, and I have a million dramas within my Blu-ray/DVD collection. But if I have to go with one, this is one that's in my list of some of my all-time favorite films, and this is some people may not like me for this. Some people may say this film's overrated, but I don't care because I love it. It's called Forrest Gump with Tom Hanks.
Yep.
This guy's been in so many films in the last 30, 35 years. He can really do no wrong. I mean, he's made maybe 2 or 3 bad films in his entire career. But other than that, this guy's been solid through and through and through. And Forrest Gump you just can't help but be invested in this character who comes from, this childhood, and then he just grows up and he has a hard time, adjusting to things, but he just gets through it somehow, some way, and his mother is such a big influence on him with the great, 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 great Sally Field. We love you, Sally Field. You rock. Everybody. Lieutenant Dan, New Legs. Gary Sinise, before he was Mac on CSI New York, Lieutenant Dan. He was killing it in that movie, literally. So Forrest Gump, far and away, is probably my favorite drama. And the ending still kind of gets me a little teary-eyed, just a little bit. But even though it's going to... it has somewhat of a happy ending, with passing of the torch on to his little boy, played by Haley Joel Osment, who apparently can see dead people 6 years later when he's in The Sixth Sense, with Bruce Willis. So, I got to go with Forrest Gump. It's such a good film. It's got everything you want in a drama and more, and it's got a great cast.
No, absolutely. Mine and your list here coincides. That for me is my favourite drama as well. It's, as I say, quotable.
Yes.
In equal parts heartwarming and tear-jerking. It keeps you there. The story keeps you in there. It's won 6 Oscars and nominated for another 7. So it's in no way, shape, or form, as far as I'm concerned, it's as highly rated as people have it. It's not overrated. It deserves to be up there in the pantheon of films. It just hit everything spot on right for me. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. Right. So, changing it up a little bit, getting a little bit easier. What's your favourite comedy?
Oh man, I've seen some good, some bad. Because comedy, let's be honest, comedy is a very hard thing to pull off, depending on who your audience is and who's watching it and who's in the room. But with comedies, there's one or two that I watch repeatedly. But the one that I've really enjoyed most recently would probably have to be Horrible Bosses. It has a really well-established cast with Jason Bateman, Charlie Day, Jason Sudeikis, I believe Jennifer Aniston. You have Kevin Spacey, long before the scandals and the tragedies that's befallen him. And then you have Jamie Foxx. You have Colin Farrell, who I didn't think in my wildest dreams can pull off comedy, but this guy, I mean, he was the funniest boss of them all, and he just got what was coming to him towards the end there. Spoilers, but it's the movie's been out for a few years.
Yeah,
if you're listening to this,
2011.
you need to see this film if you have not seen it. But yeah, Horrible Bosses to me is just so funny because we've all been there. We've all had jobs we may not have been happy with, and we've had one or two bosses that may have stood out amongst the rest that are like, I just want to pound on this boss. I just want to give him a piece of my mind. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But if I do that, I may lose my job. Blah 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 blah.
Yep.
And it goes back to another thing we were talking about. Is some of these lines in this movie are so quotable. It's oh my gosh! And then Jamie Foxx just coming out of nowhere and being like, "I'm going to be your murder consultant," and I'm like, "What is that?" It's so good. So it was Horrible Bosses. It's a raunchy comedy, and I'm not the biggest fan of raunchy comedies. I'm really not. But this one was just. It was good promoting with the trailers, and then what I got in the movie is what I got in the trailers, and I love it when both the trailers and the movie deliver on equal playing fields. So good for Horrible Bosses. That would probably be my favorite comedy.
No, fantastic. Jason Bateman in there. He's not what you call a typical leading man. He's not going to get the superhero movies. He's not going to get the high pitch, but he's quietly gone about, get himself a really good career. There's not many, when you see him in them, there's not many that you go, that he's bad. It's another one that he's always seems to be quite good in whatever he's in. Mostly rom-coms is where he's kind of find his niche in there. But also Dodgeball, Smoking Aces I think he's in. Juno, Hancock, I loved him in Hancock with Will Smith. I mean, Hancock itself has got its own issues, but again, I really liked in that. The director of Horrible Bosses, though, Seth Gordon, is looking it up. He's not really gone from strength to strength. Pixels and Baywatch is also in his resume, so we'll leave that one where it is there, I think.
Yeah, he was a one-hit wonder, but then he just went downhill. But hey, some directors do that, others don't. Who knows? Maybe he'll come back and rise like a phoenix from the ashes one day. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, right then. Kind of along the same kind of drift as the other ones. Is name a film that makes you happy.
I mean, if you were here in my neck of the woods and you saw my collection of movies, I mean, almost every one of them would probably make me happy. But one I just can't help. Maybe it's the nostalgia in me that's overcoming my thoughts on this. Maybe it's overcoming my judgment. I don't know, but I got to go with the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The live-action movie came out in a little decade called 1990, which, at least in my opinion, is the greatest decade of them all. The 90s, I had everything. We had everything on TV, film, music, whatever you want to, whatever formula of pop culture, we had it. So I'm going to go with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, because whenever I'm feeling angry, sad, whatever, I pop that thing in on my DVD, and it's just DVD player, and it just puts a smile on my face. I start laughing like within the first 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, it just hooks you from beginning to end with the laughs and the fun and just the camaraderie between the Turtles and Splinter and all the actors who, not just the men in the suits, but the actual voiceover actors of these Turtles and Master Splinter as well. I mean, they were all just phenomenal. No. They were great. And I actually had the opportunity to meet the original April O'Neil, Judith Hoag, who was in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, at a Comic-Con. Yeah. She signed a print for me from the movie. It was great. She was a wonderful person to meet in person. So if you ever at a Comic-Con, and Judith Hoag, the OG April O'Neil is in the house. Please go ahead and meet her because she is one of the nicest celebrities I've met thus far.
No, okay, fantastic. Yeah, I've got a soft spot for this one as well. Yeah, it brings a wry smile, as you say. Funny. It's got some good talent in there. Say Corey Feldman, Donatello. Yeah, Corey Feldman is Donatello.
I believe so. Quotable lines too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Another one with a director that after this and before this was mainly just music video director. Never really, not really taken off into do anything else. But no, a good film. A good film. Yeah, a good film. I'll give it a good film.
Yeah, it's cowabunga, man. Everyone eats pizza. I love it.
Absolutely, it does what it needs to do, which is entertaining when you're watching it. Even now,
and it's great product placement for Domino's.
Oh God, yes, absolutely. Right, flipping on its head. Name a film that makes you sad.
Oh man. There have only been about maybe a handful of films that have really made me sad or got me, what's it called, teary-eyed, or the tear ducts start running down my face. I'm going to go with a recent film because when this film ended, I had man tears and I started crying. I was like, how is this the end? How is this happening? But I'm going to go with Hugh Jackman's final performance as Wolverine/Logan in Logan that came out just last year. My gosh, I mean, violent, brutal, a man who's you can just see him wavering away. He's withering away. He's on his last limbs. He just can't take it anymore. He's sick and tired of all the death and destruction that he's had to go through with all his fellow X-Men and all the other characters and the bad guys, the good guys, what have you. And the newcomer, I should say, Daphne Keane is X-23. That girl is going places. She's going to win a lot of Oscars. She's going to make a huge impact on the industry as if she hasn't already. And Patrick Stewart closing out his book with Professor Charles Xavier. Yep. He's my Xavier. I mean, I grew up on the 90s animated series known as X-Men on Fox Kids. But when Patrick Stewart came in the first film, I was like, that's who I thought of when they were casting for X-Men, the live-action movie. I'm like, there's only one person I can think of, and it's Patrick Stewart. And
absolutely,
Logan just delivered on so many different levels. I mean, the very first trailer, set to the tune of Johnny Cash's "Hurt."
Yes.
Whew! What you get in the trailer is definitely what you get in the film, and then some. I will say that. And the ending was just so powerful. The way it ended with Daphne Keane and her crew, for the new mutants, the new X-Men, walking off into the sunset, into the distance. And then turning over his grave with a plus sign, with the cross, God rest his soul, into an X for the Xavier's X-Men. Oh, no. I mean, that if that doesn't get you as a film fan, or if you're sitting in a theater or at home watching this movie, you don't have a soul. Like, if that doesn't touch you in some way, shape, or form, something's up with you. So I would go ahead and say Logan. It was actually one of my top 2, 3. I believe it was in my top 5 best films of 2017 list.
Yeah. It's one that I didn't get first time I watched it. I'd heard a load of hype beforehand, and I like the X-Men films. I've even, God help me, I've even got the Wolverine on DVD. For my sins.
That was a bad one. Yeah, I get it.
But I watched it and I was like, yeah, this is it. It needs repeated viewing, I think, to fully grasp the nuances in the performances. Not just from Jackman, but also Patrick Stewart, Stephen Merchant as well in there.
It's Caliban. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, a good film, but I've learnt to not learnt to like it. I've come to like it and appreciate it a lot more with repeated viewings of it. Obviously, James Mangold, the director, and another one call back to an earlier one. He's obviously directed 3:10 to Yuma.
The guy knows a thing or two about making a great western.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Absolutely. Brilliant. Right. So, what's a film that you know practically the entire script of?
This is actually, I probably should have dropped this in the beginning, but this is a fun fact about myself. If I watch a film, or a piece of media, I should say, once or twice, the whole script goes right into my brain. That's just how good I am. I was blessed with a gift, and I can recite certain movies to a person or to an audience word for word. But the one that I know the script to a lot of different films, but the one that really stands out to me is one of my favorites to quote, or should I say, recite the words or the lines of the script word for word. I got to go with the original. Tim Burton's Batman, 1989. I watched that VHS tape so much that I wore it out. It got torn apart. It was destroyed because of how many times I was watching that movie on repeat. It's so funny, so engaging. It's one of the critics said it was a mesmerizing film, and I totally agree. My eyes are glued to the screen. It doesn't matter if it's with Bruce Wayne or the Batman or the Joker or Jack Napier before he becomes the Joker. It doesn't matter. Even Vicky Vale's screaming can get on a lot of people's nerves. For me, it doesn't bother me because she's playing the classic DID, damsel in distress.
Yep.
And when she gets rescued, when he crashes through that roof, I'm like, yes, it's on, man. It's on. This is what I wanted. This is what I get. It's great. And I mean, you want to talk about one of the most quotable classic movies in cinematic history, you got to go with Tim Burton's Batman. I mean, as soon as he leaves the room, Joker's looking from behind where he's saying, where does he get those wonderful toys? I'm like,
absolutely.
Well, yes, I want to know where he gets the toys too, because I want that Batmobile in my garage. I love that Batmobile. It is my favorite Batmobile. It will always be my favorite Batmobile. No disrespect to Val Kilmer or Christian Bale, because those are the two other Batman actors that I actually like. Sorry, George Clooney, but you lose terribly. That movie is garbage. It's horrendous casting with Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tim Burton's Batman, I can quote it 24/7, doesn't matter. I love that movie so much. The score by Danny Elfman.
Oh, yes.
Whoo! Dog it. You want to talk about Batman themes, forget about Adam West, forget about Burt Ward. That's not Batman to me. That's a parody. That is a joke of Batman. I understand it was people's childhood. I understand it's a torch that was carried for a long time, and it still is to this day with the recent release of it on Blu-ray and DVD. But for me, Batman started with Tim Burton, and it went on from there. So Tim Burton's Batman, I salute you. Tim Burton, you made some really good films earlier on in your career. Not so much now, but in the beginning, you were red hot, man.
No, absolutely. The Ever Dance with the Devil by the Pale Moonlight is one of my favourite quotes of all time on them. I love that. It doesn't quite hold up to watching now. Admittedly, it's an 89, so it's an old film, but some of the graphics now have not aged well. I watched it not so long ago. It's not aged well, bless it. But no, I love the film. It's one of the first soundtracks that I bought because I was a massive Prince fan.
Oh, the Bat Dance?
Yes, Bat Dance, Arms of a
Party Man.
Yes.
Trust. You remember Trust?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So, with that balloon, and I will drop $20 million in cash on the crowd.
Yep.
I mean, come on. You can't help it.
No.
Look at this. Gotham's Greed. Alexander Knox.
Yes.
I mean, come on. No. Love Knox, by the way. Knox says the best line. He's like, Bruce Wayne is in his wine cellar, or he's in the art room where Vicky Vale and Knox suddenly find themselves in his art room or whatever it is. Yes. And he's looking at all these statues, and he turns around and he says, Mr. Wayne, we have a few more cases of the champagne. Will that be all right? Oh, sure. Go ahead. Open, 6? 6? Yeah, 6 is good. Okay, yeah. And then he sends the little googly eyes at Vicky because he believes that Vicky has the hots for Bruce. Yep. She gives him the stare down like, how dare you, sir? How dare... But I can't help... I laugh so hard at that scene. I don't know why, but for me, when Knox does that to Vicky, I laugh hysterically. I love it.
Yeah, no, great. Right then, so, a little bit change of pace, but who is your favourite director?
When it comes to directors, every director has their good days and their bad days. They've had great films, they've had not so good films, then they just had garbage films. Joel Schumacher, Tim Burton. But this is going to be an odd choice for people who know me may think this is an odd choice, but I'm going to go with Martin Campbell. First of all, he rebooted Bond successfully, not once, but twice, with GoldenEye in 1995, and then he did it again with Daniel Craig's Casino Royale in 2006.
Yep.
He also did a magnificent action-adventure film known as The Mask of Zorro with Antonio Banderas
Oh yes.
and a
Anthony
woman
Hopkins,
and a
Catherine
young
Zeta-Jones.
actress. Yep, and a young actress I had a crush on for the longest time, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yep.
And you got Anthony freaking Hopkins in there. I mean, you want to talk about old Zorro passing the torch on to a new Zorro. You cannot have picked a better,
Yes.
three members of that cast between Banderas, Hopkins, and especially, she was really coming up at the time, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and she was drop-dead gorgeous in this movie. 100% of the time, never did I look at the screen and say, she doesn't look good today. I don't like that outfit. Let's put on something else. No, she was pretty 100% of the time, and then she proved it again a few years later with the heist film known as Entrapment with Sean Connery.
Yes.
Speaking of James Bond,
Mm-hmm.
so, and Martin Campbell also made another adventure film I really like. No one really talks about this film. It's not really on anyone's radar, and that's fine. If you have your own taste, that's good. There's no right or wrong way to measure this. But Vertical Limit, I think, is a really well-made rescue film or disaster film, however you want to categorize it. I think of it as an adventure film or drama, really. Depends on how you look at it. You got Chris O'Donnell, you got Robin Tunney before she was on The Mentalist with Simon Baker. You have Scott Glenn, the late, great Bill Paxton. We miss you, Bill Paxton. We miss you, man. He's in it. So I think Martin Campbell, for me, for the most part, he's had a really good track record. And then I went back and realized that he had the unfortunate time making a horrible comic book movie called Green Lantern. Oh, my God. Ugh, Martin, what have you done to yourself? But you know what? I don't entirely fault him for that because I think there were too many cooks in the kitchen on that film, and I think they were trying to establish a DC cinematic universe within Green Lantern that just didn't work out very well. I mean, maybe
not a good film.
No, it's complete garbage for me. But Martin Campbell, I know he recently made The Foreigner with Jackie Chan.
That
and
is a very good film.
Speaking of James Bond, Pierce Brosnan makes his return in that. I have not seen The Foreigner yet, so I can't comment.
I watched it the other week.
Okay.
Wasn't expecting a great deal from it.
Mm-hmm.
Hadn't heard anything about it. Jackie Chan, an old Jackie Chan. I really enjoyed it. It's a very enjoyable film.
I will have to look it up and watch it one of these days. But as far as directors go, Martin Campbell, he's made 4 films for me that I can watch on repeat pretty much any place or place, day, or time. And I really enjoy all 4 of those movies: The Two Bonds, The Mask of Zorro, and Vertical Limit. So if anyone's listening to this, if you haven't seen these films, go out and see them. They're really fun. Don't watch the sequel, The Legend of Zorro, because that was, I don't know what the studio and Martin Campbell was thinking, but man, oh man, why would you make that film PG when it deserves to be PG-13, if not rated R? You should have stuck in the PG-13 pool, but you had to domesticate it and make it Disney-friendly or whatever they were trying to do with little Joaquin, his son being 10 years old. I mean, I get that. That works for the story. Yeah. Wasn't really well executed in the overall film, people. So, I hope one day that they will make a third Zorro film and make up for the bad one, which was The Legend of Zorro, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. But if Antonio, Catherine, my two of my favorite people in this world, if you're listening to this, please come back, redeem yourselves, make a third film, and let's close out the Zorro trilogy well.
Look, if Antonio Banderas or Catherine Zeta-Jones are listening to this, get hold of me. I'll interview. I don't care. I'll interview you. But let's face it, for the 7 other people listening to it, one of them's not going to be Antonio Banderas.
Can't help but try.
Absolutely. Right then, what's your favourite film from your childhood?
Once again, the 90s, best decade ever, at least in my opinion. You had it all. You had all the great games, movies, TV series, music, whatever. But the one film I really enjoyed from my childhood, this is actually a film that inspired me to pursue acting, especially when I got into high school, if you will. I'm going to go with Jim Carrey's Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. No question. I quoted, that was one of the first films I ever started quoting to my friends when I was in elementary school at the time, when I was about 6 or 7 years old. Couldn't help but quote that movie over and over again, do the mannerisms, do the walk like he does when he's walking down a hallway, saying, "Oh, righty then," all those different lines, all those different quotes and mannerisms that Jim Carrey threw out there. I got to go with Ace Ventura. I've watched it so many times. I watched the VHS tape. I didn't break this VHS tape, though, like I did with Tim Burton's Batman, so I consider myself just a little bit lucky that I didn't break the VHS tape of Ace Ventura Pet Detective when I got it, or when I had it when I was younger, mind you. But yeah, I'm going to go with Ace Ventura because it inspired me to get into acting. It's something that really spoke to me on a lot of different levels, saying that's who I want to be, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, is entertain people, doing it the way that Jim Carrey does it, because he does it so well, especially early on in his career within the 90s.
Yes. No, absolutely. I mean, it's another one that you say is it got some great quotes in there. My favourite one from it is, if I'm not back in 5 minutes, just wait longer.
Yeah, he goes down into the tank. Yeah,
yes,
the dolphin tank, I should say.
Yes, yeah, a really funny film. Courtney Cox in there.
Oh my goodness! Talk about a beautiful love interest. Yes,
yes, yeah. It's a perfectly 90s comedy. Hits the nail exactly bang on the head with it.
Especially with the obsession between Ray Finkle and Dan Marino. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Yeah, and pretty much launched Jim Carrey. He had The Mask, which was obviously the same year, but it launched him out of nowhere, really, especially from my side of the Atlantic in the UK. I'd not heard of him before. I don't know if he was a stand-up and done this, that and the other in America, I know. But I hadn't heard of him, and all of a sudden he's coming out. Ace Ventura is fantastic. The Mask, again, brilliant. Then Dumb and Dumber, and yeah, okay, then he goes into Batman Forever, but where we'll stop. Yeah, he came out of nowhere and just catapulted himself into superstardom for comedy films. But yeah, no, a good film. Yeah, another cracking one on there. Right, this has had. I think this one has had pretty much a different answer to everyone that's interviewed so far. What's your favourite animated film?
I mean, there are so many different studios now that have made animated movies over the last several years, whether it's Disney, whether it's Pixar, whether it's DreamWorks, whether it's Sony Pictures, Fox Animation, what have you. I mean, there's so many. And this goes back to one of the other reasons I was inspired to get into acting was because of this particular animated film and because of this particular actor. Jim Carrey was the bigger inspiration, but right behind him, without even thinking twice. Got to go with the classic animated Disney film. I'm going to go with Aladdin because of Robin freaking Williams. Robin Williams, God rest that man's soul. We lost a truly big treasure of ours a few years ago when he passed on. It's very, very sad how his life came to a tragic end. But if you go back in his listings of his filmography, just his career in general as an actor, comedian, what have you, he's done it all. He has seen it all. He has said it all. He has won it all. I mean, he is. You want to talk about Mount Rushmore of actors or just great entertainers, if you will.
Yep.
Robin Williams has to be considered for one of those four spots. So I'm going to go with Aladdin because Aladdin is it's the second film I started quoting numerous times when I was a kid in elementary school to all of my friends. The genie has all the lines, every single line that comes out of his mouth is quotable. It's memorable. It's funny. It's entertaining. It puts a big smile on everyone's face. It doesn't matter what age you are. You could be 2 years old or 205 years old. You're going to laugh your head off, and you're going to enjoy the ride one way or the other. So I got to go with Disney's Aladdin. I love Robin Williams. I've seen so many of his films. I got so many of them in my collection, which I'm happy to say that I do. So I got to go with Aladdin. That made all my wishes come true. And Jasmine, not to go in a little bit of a weird direction here, but Jasmine was one of the first animated characters I kind of had a crush on.
Yeah. No, I will not hold that against you in any way, shape or form. Yeah, I love Aladdin, as you say. Robin Williams is the genie. I mean, I pity Will Smith playing the genie in the upcoming live-action adaptation because he's on a hiding to nothing. If he plays it the way that Robin Williams played it, he's going to be accused of doing a copy. If he tries to play it his own way, he's going to end up being, oh, well, you weren't as good as Robin Williams. I really think he's on a hiding for nothing as the genie in the new film for it, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I don't think the new Aladdin is going to do very well. I think it's one of the worst ideas that Disney's ever had in their cinematic history, which is to remake something that's not broken. Why fix it?
Yeah.
This wheel is good as gold, and it has no right to be remade or retouched. But then again, I said the same thing about the Jungle Book, and Jon Favreau killed it.
Absolutely.
With the Jungle Book. So
yeah.
I mean, I'll give them credit for that. But with Aladdin, Robin Williams passing on, I don't think anything of Robin Williams should ever be touched, remade, resequelized, rebooted in any way, shape, or form. Now, I have yet to see Jumanji Part 2, Welcome to the Jungle with The Rock and Kevin Hart, but people keep telling me how good it is.
Yeah, I'm hearing
nods
good things.
nods and tributes to Robin Williams' character of Alan Paris. So maybe somewhere down the line, I'll sit down and watch that film here in my home. But for now, I'm not going to touch it. Nothing should be touched. But good luck with the new Aladdin, because the only reason I have any slither of hope is because the girl playing, I believe it's Jasmine, Naomi Scott, played the new Pink Ranger, Kimberly, in one of my favorite films of last year, Power Rangers, son. So, Naomi, I love you. I wish you the best of luck, but you got a really tall order that you have to follow.
No, absolutely. Okay, right, we're moving on then. What is your favourite quote from any film?
Oh, I've told this quote to a number of my friends through different channels, and this quote gets me every time. I think it's inspirational, no matter how you want to slice and dice the film. You can hate on it all you want, but for me, it's my favorite comic book film right now. It's my favorite Superman film. I think Henry Cavill delivered in this movie on all fronts as the new Kal-El/Superman. But I got to go with the quote from Man of Steel, which was said by the character of Jor-El, Kal-El's father, played by the excellent Russell Crowe, who deserves an Oscar for this film of Man of Steel, and Henry Cavill deserves an Oscar for Man of Steel. Those two gentlemen worked so hard, and they put every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears into their roles as Kal-El and Jor-El. But I'm going to go with Jor-El's line, where he says the following: "You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you, they will stumble, they will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun, Cal. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders." End quote. I mean, if that doesn't inspire a nation, a little boy, a little girl, a 205-year-old man, I don't care. What is wrong with you? That inspires everybody. That can inspire nations to rise up and stand united to change the world. At least in my opinion.
No, it's a good. It helps. Do you know what I mean? I am another one. I like Man of Steel.
So you're in the camp that likes the film. Good.
Absolutely.
It's nice to meet a fellow fan.
No, absolutely. There's not a great deal wrong with the film. I really do enjoy it. I watch it on many occasions. For me, it's still the best of the DCEU. By quite a long shot as well. I really, Suicide Squad was okay, but you kind of forget it after it's gone. The story didn't make any sense. Batman vs Superman, the director's cut, the extended edition, should I say, made it better.
Yes.
Still, Martha, really? That's what's going to stop you from? Yeah, but.
No, I get why they went with that, but the only thing that bothers me about the extended cut is I still can't get over the fact that they cast a horrible actor by the name of Jesse freaking Eisenberg to play Lex Luthor. That was some of the worst casting decisions in Hollywood's history, and it's one of the worst acting performances I've ever seen. If you're going to choose anyone to play Lex Luthor, don't choose a snotty little brat known as Jesse Eisenberg, who thinks he's the best thing of all time. I mean, people tell me, well, did you see him in his Oscar-worthy performance of Social Network? And I look at them and I say, yes, I've seen The Social Network, but that was one movie. And second of all, how hard is it to play a jerk? Yeah. How hard is it to play a jerk on film? Jesse Eisenberg and Leo DiCaprio did it with ease with the Wolf of Wall Street, but with Jesse Eisenberg, that's some of the worst casting ever. DC, if you're listening to this, please, for the love of Pete, get rid of Jesse, throw him out the bus, get me a real actor who can actually act and play the role really well, and then we can talk business later. No,
absolutely. I mean, I'm quite happy to see them. They don't even need to recast. You just have him playing he's Lex Jr. and then introduce Lex Sr.'s been in prison, I'm back, thank you son, go away, I've got this now, and cast the senior, cast an elder statesman. Bryan Cranston, something like that. Coming in being an older, gruff Lex Senior. That then, because Eisenberg will soon be forgotten. Yeah,
that's very true. Yeah. That's a good idea.
No, there you go. Oh, what do I know? I'm just sitting here, wrong side of the Atlantic. Okay, right then. What's the best film you've seen in the past year? Calendar month, obviously, not just the nearly 3 months of this year.
Right. Yes. So, taking a different approach to this, I went with a film that got completely snubbed at the Oscars for this year's ceremony that's coming up in, I believe, the month of March.
Yep.
This film went completely under a lot of people's radar as far as audience and box office wise. I mean, the critics, I think, really enjoyed it, but I think not many people knew about it, not many people saw it. And at the time, it was being distributed by the Weinstein Company long before the scandal broke out.
Yep.
And then it got distributed through Lionsgate on Blu-ray and DVD, which, yes, I'm happy to say that I bought, and I have it in my collection. You should have it, too. It's called Wind River. It's from Taylor Sheridan, his directorial debut. I know he wrote the script for Hell or High Water and Sicario.
Yep.
I haven't seen Hell or High Water yet, but I've heard good things. Sicario I thought was pretty good up until the very end. I was a little upset with how it ended, just a little bit, but I'm looking forward to seeing the sequel, which is Sicario 2 Soldado, coming out later this year. But I gotta go with Wind River. Wind River was a really good murder mystery film, and it's just a well-made film, the way it looks, the way it was acted. I mean, you got Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen, a.k.a. Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch, in a movie of this caliber, and they, like in the MCU movies, they're fine, but in this movie, they get to stretch their legs as actors and actresses. And they really did a phenomenal job. And just the way the story comes together and you find out what happens towards the end of the film. I'm not going to spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it yet. Yeah, but please, by all accounts, go out, rent this movie on digital HD, buy it if you must. It is one of the truly best-made murder mystery films we've seen in a long time. And some of the subtext, I should say, that appears at the end of the film is very, very important to listen to and understand. You know, this is a community that doesn't get talked about a lot because it takes place on a Native American reservation.
Yeah.
Hence the reason the name of the film is called Wind River, because that's, what it is.
Yeah.
So check out Wind River. I gave it a 10 out of 10. It is truly it was actually my number one film of last year.
Okay. Well, brilliant. I've not seen it. So I'm quite pleased doing this podcast. Obviously I get a lot of films suggested to me. Each week I've managed to get one onto a list of films to watch, and that's I've got two now. So I've got Hostiles and Wind River from yourself. So yeah, okay, brilliant. Right, moving on then. Another one that's probably going to be quite difficult to do. But who is your favourite actor?
Got to go with the one who inspired me to get into theater and get into acting in the first place. I got to go with the funny man himself. I got to go with Jim Carrey, hands down.
Oh yes.
He's done so many great films in the beginning and the middle of his career. I know he's gone a little bit, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs lately, so he's not doing many films anymore. But when he was in the 90s, I mean, this guy had one heck of a track record. So I'm going to go with Jim Carrey. He's done great comedy, and I recently finally got a chance to see one of his dramatic performances, the one that gets talked about the most, and that is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my dear heavens almighty. I did not know what I was getting myself into when I was watching this movie. I knew it was a bit of a love story, a bit of a romance movie here and there. It was more a bit of a drama with just a little bit of hint of comedy. But, man, it's phenomenal. I enjoyed Jim Carrey's performance in that. I also liked him. No one likes this movie. Apparently, I'm in the minority of this, and that's fine. The number 23 for me, Jim Carrey did a really good... anyway, he did a really good dramatic performance. I liked what he did. Was the movie creepy? Did it not make a whole lot of sense? Yeah, it was a bit confusing here and there, but at the very end, I said to myself, I like this movie because it's dramatic. It's something I don't see Jim Carrey do a lot of, at least as far as I was concerned at the time. So yeah, I got to go with Jim Carrey. I got tons of his comedies. I got, I saw Eternal Sunshine on Netflix. So thank you, Netflix, for having that film, because people keep telling me how good it was. And I finally saw it. And Kate Winslet, woo! That woman is so powerful as an actress. She can hardly do any wrong. So kudos to Jim Carrey with his career.
No, absolutely. As I say, as we mentioned before with Ace Ventura, excuse me, he's gone from out of nowhere to Ace Ventura to The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura sequel,
Liar Liar, the Cable Guy.
Yeah, Batman Forever, Cable Guy, Liar Liar, Truman Show, which was his first real sort of straight role as it was.
Bruce Almighty.
Yeah, Man on the Moon, Me, Myself and Irene.
Oh,
okay, then
he's done it all.
Yeah, The Grinch. So Bruce Almighty is there.
I think he was in The Majestic, wasn't he?
I think so.
I think he was. I haven't seen that film yet.
Yeah,
so.
Series of Unfortunate Events. He was obviously the Count in that.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the number 23 as well. Saw it at the cinema. Yeah, it's something that is completely different to what I saw him in usually. But no, he's done the whole range of them. He's done the romantic drama with the Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. He's got the comedy in there. He's moved away from just the facial expressions when he moved into like the Mr. Popper's Penguins, which my kids love. They absolutely adore that. Up to the action films with the comedy action with when he was in Kick-Ass 2. He's gone through the whole range of types of films. He's not someone that you often hear as being someone's favourite actor, but there's no reason not to. You can say he's got a great range to him. So, no, a good choice. Flipping that on its head, who's your favourite actress?
Well, I do have some Hollywood crushes that I could go into, but that's a whole other segue. So I'm gonna leave that alone for the time being. But sometimes Hollywood's a town of what have you done for me lately, and this particular actress, for the most part, I haven't seen maybe one or two of her films, but I know I've seen or a good portion of them anyway. So I have a good basis to go with this on.
Yep.
I'm going to go with a beautiful young actress who I'm very jealous of her husband right now. John, I'm looking at you. Emily Blunt.
Oh,
Emily
yes.
Blunt is one of the most gorgeous, most beautiful women/actresses on the face of this planet. She can really, as far as I'm concerned, she can do no wrong. I'm going to go with Emily Blunt because she did an excellent job with Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise. She held her own, if not stole the show from him. With that film, she did an incredible job in a film that no one talks about, but I love to pieces. It's called The Adjustment Bureau.
Oh, yes, with Matt Damon.
Yeah, with Matt Damon. Yes. She played the gorgeous love interest to Matt Damon. I'm so jealous of him in that movie.
Yep.
With The Adjustment Bureau, she did an excellent job cameoing in The Muppets, the rebooted Muppets that came out a few years ago as a take on her Devil Wears Prada character. She's just... she was in Looper with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh, yes.
She played the single mother to the young child who has special powers. who can kill us all? But whatever. I didn't like the end of that Looper movie, but that's story entirely. That's the story entirely. But yeah, I'm going to go with Emily Blunt, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing her next film, where she works with her husband John in a horror film called A Quiet Place.
All right.
So I am very much looking forward to that movie. It comes out in the month of April. We've had 2 trailers so far for this film. It hit the web. I have not seen the second trailer because I feel trailers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 give away the whole flippin' movie. Hollywood, take note. Make one trailer. Make us want the movie, put all your eggs into that basket, and then we'll be good to go. Just don't show the whole entire flippin' film, because otherwise I'm going to hate you for that. But A Quiet Place looks really good. I look forward to seeing what her and her husband, and John Krasinski actually directs this movie, A Quiet Place. So I am very much looking forward to seeing what she does with that. And also she has Edge of Tomorrow Part 2, which I don't know why that film is getting a sequel, but okay. I don't get that. I really don't.
It made money eventually.
But hey, Emily Blunt's coming back, so... if she's coming back, I'll most likely see it because Emily Blunt is awesome-tacular, as one film pundit likes to say. So, yeah, I go with Emily Blunt. I think she has a really good career so far, and I look forward to where she goes in the future. I think before it's all said and done, she's going to have a few Oscars on her mantle. Yeah, no,
absolutely. She's still young as well. She's still mid-30s, so she's got a long way to go at the moment. So, okay, brilliant. Okay then, one of the most controversial questions on the list. What is your most overrated film?
Well, this is where your audience is going to come at me with pitchforks and torches and knives, maybe. I don't know, but we'll see. Actually, it's 2 films I think are overrated, but I'll stick with this one particularly as of now. I got to go with Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I saw the movie in theaters like everyone else, so I have basis to back this up. I've seen the film. It's not like I'm just completely ignoring it. But for me, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has had really good films, but they've also had some missteps. And for me, I think Guardians, even though a lot of critics and audience members would disagree with me, but hey, come at me, bro. This film, this film is so overrated to me. I don't understand it. To me, a comic book movie should not be a straight up comedy. But then again, someone told me later. By the way, the Guardians of the Galaxy are comedic characters within the comics, so you probably should have expected this going in. And I said, look, I knew I was going to get comedy. I just didn't know it was going to be a 100% comedy. If I'm going to get a movie, I want salt and I want pepper, which means I want some drama, and you can have some comedy there, but it has to balance out the drama that you're putting into it. So if I get too much of one over the other and don't have a balance, you're going to get independent Ryan very upset. And Ryan doesn't like to be upset. I like to enjoy the movies that I'm watching, preferably. So with Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm going to say it's one of the most overrated films of all time. I don't get the obsession with it. I don't have any of the Funko Pops. I don't have the Blu-ray. I don't have the action figures. I don't cosplay as Rocket Raccoon at every Comic-Con that I'm standing in line at, whether it's here in Maryland or outside of the state of Maryland. I don't get it. To me, that and Deadpool, I don't get it. I just don't like those characters. I don't like what they did with their films. I just prefer dramas with a little bit of mixture of comedy. A perfect example is Captain America Winter Soldier. 99% of that movie was straight up drama with a little bit of comedy, and that worked perfectly for that movie. Another movie I think that did it really well, and people don't like this MCU film, but I actually think it's in my top 5 favorite of MCU films of all time, and that's The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton.
Yes.
It didn't rely strictly on comedy. It took the drama, it threw in comedy when it needed to, and it worked in the scene. It wasn't forced, at least in my opinion, it wasn't forced. And Edward Norton and the very beautiful Liv Tyler, give me a call, by the way, in that movie, they just worked together so well, and unfortunately, we never got a sequel. Granted, I know there were a lot of behind-the-scenes issues with Edward Norton. He's not the most easy person to work with. No. I get that. But still, to me, those MCU movies are so much better than the others. It's Captain America Winter Soldier, The Incredible Hulk. I think Iron Man still holds up today really well. The original Avengers is one of the best comic book movies of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, those to me are the better MCU films than people say, no, it's Guardians of the Galaxy. No, it's Captain America Civil War. Captain America Civil War wasn't even a Civil War movie. What's wrong with you people? No one dies. There's no blood. There's no loss. There's a little bit too much comedy at times in Captain America Civil War, which took me out of the movie a little bit. I still liked it. I just didn't love it as many as other moviegoers did. But yeah, those are some of the overrated films, I would say. It's Guardians of the Galaxy mixed in with a little bit of Deadpool. And no, I am not watching Deadpool 2. No thank you.
Okay. Right, well, I think you pretty much nailed that as to why you don't like that one. I can't... You've put your reasons down very, very succinctly. I obviously, with all films, are all subjective. I will disagree with you. I adore Guardians because it's so different. Because of the comedy aspects. It's an action comedy. It's one of my favourites. Along with Civil War, it's up there. Right, we'll move on. I can't argue with you to say all films are subjective. So we'll flip on its head. What's your most underrated film?
Well, there's a couple of ways I can go with this, but I'm going to go with one that came out, once again, going back to why I love this decade so much. It's called The 90s, and it's a film that, it's not really a sports movie, it's more of a biopic, but I think it's an inspirational film as well, especially for young children or teenagers or even adults to this day. I mean, you can really show this to any kind of group of audience members. But I'm going to go with a film that came out, I believe it was 1993, if I remember correctly. It starred Joe Mantegna, Lawrence Fishburne, Joan Allen, Ben Kingsley. Speaking of former MCU actors, Ben Kingsley. It's called Searching for Bobby Fischer. It's a movie about, it's based on a book, and it tells the true story of a young boy by the name of Josh Waitzkin, who started playing chess when he was at 7 years of age, and he became like the highest rated and the most successful chess player for his age at that time. It was almost unheard of to see and watch how fast this young boy started at the very bottom and got to the very top of the mountain as far as, his league of chess, because they have different leagues for different age groups, respectively. Yep. And I got into playing chess because of this movie. I got involved in the chess club in my middle school when I was younger. And I went to a chess tournament, and I won my first match, and unfortunately I lost my next one. So, you have to win multiple matches to get towards the finals, if you will, within a tournament. And unfortunately I lost the second one. But winning that first match, I was like, oh my gosh, I just kind of had a Josh Waitzkin moment here. What's going on? So it was really incredible to watch this movie. It's also a story not just about a young boy and how he learns how to play chess, but how it's a good movie about sportsmanship and showing respect and being competitive. And it's also about the relationship between a father and a son. And I think everyone, on some way, shape, or form, can relate on that level. So if you have not seen a small film known as Searching for Bobby Fischer, please look it up and watch it with your family, your loved ones, your friends, your coworkers, whoever. It's a really well-made film, and it's one of the few films, as far as I know, right now on Rotten Tomatoes, it's certified fresh at 100%.
Wow. I'd say not one I've seen. I don't. I tend to shy away from sports films. There's not many. There's not many that I watch or no. It's one. There you go. There you go. I'm doing well here. It's three on the list now. 3 on the list for me to catch up on and reach, because somehow that's passed me by. Okay, brilliant. Let's take it out and make it a bit lighter. This. Who's your favourite film character?
Well, it depends on what franchise, and it depends on the day you're asking me this question. But for today, specifically, I'm going to go with someone who's allowed to break the rules and someone who does whatever it takes to accomplish the mission or get the job done. He has been on Her Majesty's Secret Service for over 50-plus years, and he is a young man who's 50-plus years young, and he goes by the name of James Bond. I'm going to go with the man who has a license to kill, 007, the character known as James Bond, the world's greatest secret agent.
No. Again, I can't fault the answer. One of the longest enduring film characters that doesn't seem to matter when you recast them. That I don't think there's any of the characters that have carried on that have been in the same universe or as such, because I don't, with it being for so long, I don't think the Sean Connery and the Roger Moore Bonds were in any kind of timeline. I think it probably helps with the longevity of the character and being able to reinvent it whenever the film gets stale, whether the franchise gets stale. Let's just bring in a new Bond then. We don't need to change how it's made. We don't need to change how it's. We just flip up and change the character, change the actor. It's a brilliant British film character. That's what we like to see. Take the Brits over into America and take over.
And he's got some good opening credit sequences too.
Absolutely. One of my favourite is the Casino Royale one, when it starts black and white, and it's it flashing back to the fight scene that's in the bathroom, in the toilet there. Such a brutal fight at the start of it. Great answer, great character. Again, someone else. It's the first time it's been mentioned on this list.
Well, there you go. I'm more than happy to oblige. And the opening credit sequence with the late Chris Cornell. He did a great job with You Know My Name, and then some of my other favorites would be obviously going back to GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yep.
The Royals Line Up. But I gotta say, my favorite Bond opening credit sequence. I don't like this artist. More modern day music, I'm just not a big fan of. I gravitate towards more the classic music, if you will, with all due respect. I got to go with Adele's Skyfall. I got to go with Skyfall. That is by far and away the best opening credit sequence I've seen, and it's the best Bond opening credit theme song I've ever heard in my life by someone I am not a big fan of, despite the fans that she has all around the world. Adele, I'm looking at you. But man, she just nailed it with Skyfall. I mean, it's so good. It plays so well into the themes of the movie and the atmosphere of the movie, and far and away. And it won the Oscar for Best Original Song. So congratulations to Adele and producer Paul Epworth on Skyfall. It's my gosh, it's so good.
No, absolutely, and the people, the different artists that they've had doing the songs through the whole time, from Shirley Bassey to Tina Turner.
Duran.
Aha. Yeah, the Aha was one that. I watched that film. The Living Daylights was one of my first that I remember going to the cinema to see. I'm sure I probably went before it. My earliest memory is sitting there watching that film. That film will always be in there. No, great.
And it's funny you say that, because I just went to a Comic-Con some months ago, and the first James Bond actor/actress I've ever met was the Bond girl from The Living Daylights, Miriam Dabo.
Oh yes.
I met her at a Comic-Con. She was very nice. She signed a photo from her time on set of The Living Daylights with Timothy Dalton. I asked her a few questions here and there, and she was happy to answer them. And she was there with her cousin Olivia Dabo, who I know best as Karen Arnold from the great television series known as The Wonder Years, and she was also on episodes of Criminal Intent, Law and Order Criminal Intent, with Vincent D'Onofrio playing his big nemesis, Nicole Wallace, I believe was her name at the time. So, yeah, I can fully admit this. I have met a Bond girl. It's
fantastic. Great! Okay, brilliant. So, moving on, we go back to the type of film. So, what's your favourite documentary?
There was one documentary I saw recently that had a pretty good effect on me, but I'm going to go with another one, and you probably heard this name before. You've probably seen a few other documentaries that have been presented in theaters within the past. I'm going to go with an IMAX documentary.
Okay.
Because they make so many good ones. I'm going to go with, it's called Magnificent Desolation, Walking on the Moon from IMAX. That one is about all the missions that have come before that journey to the moon with the Apollo missions. It's also narrated by Forrest Gump himself, Tom Hanks, who went on to make that miniseries on HBO, From the Earth to the Moon, with executive producer, I believe, Steven Spielberg, or a few other people were involved with that at the time. So I'm going to go with Magnificent Desolation, Walking on the Moon. Every time I watch that, I'm just in awe of how it's presented and the imagery of what, things look like outside of the atmosphere of our planet Earth, the planet that we live on. To see pictures or photos or footage, if you will, whether it be the moon or other planets or nebulas and stars and galaxies and all this wondrous stuff. I just thought it was presented in such a really good way, because one of the tagline in the IMAX documentary Magnificent Desolation is 12 people have gone on the moon, you're next. Which means they take you to the moon, like they have an astronaut in a suit like step foot on the moon. Like, you really feel like you're there on the moon looking at this beautiful planet that we live on, known as planet Earth, from a different way, in a different angle. It's so beautiful the way it looks. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. Magnificent Desolation, Walking on the Moon, presented by IMAX, narrated by Tom Hanks. Check it out. It's really, really good.
Okay, great. So then, here we go. Your guilty pleasure time. Name a film that you like that no one who knows you would expect.
In the beginning, I saw the promotional materials for this movie. I saw the marketing campaign for it, and I thought this film was going to be a piece of garbage. I thought it was going to fall flat on its face. It didn't look particularly appetizing to me. It didn't look like something I would want to see, because I'm not a big fan of the genre, which is, in this case, I like comedies, but this was a raunchy comedy, and I'm not too big on those, if you know what I mean. I'm not the biggest fan, but this one, my best friend, who used to live right up the street from me, he brought me to his house, in his man cave, in his basement. He sat me down in front of his TV, this big TV, and he says, "You need to watch this movie." So I watched it, and I laughed a number of times, beginning to end, and I'm going to go with the first installment of this franchise, because I don't think the sequels really count, because I heard 2 and 3 were garbage. I'm going to go with The Hangover.
Okay.
I'm going to go with The Hangover. You got Bradley Cooper, Zach Galifianakis, you got a whole bunch of other... Heather Graham is in this movie.
Mike Tyson.
In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. Woo!
Yeah.
Doing the drum beats to that and beating the heck out of people with his 1-2 punch. Oh, man. And that's a good song too. I love Phil Collins. I love that song, In the Air. If you don't like In the Air Tonight, what's wrong with you as a human being?
Yeah,
it's one of the best songs ever written, produced, and sung by the legendary Phil Collins. So I'm going to go with The Hangover. I don't think anyone within my circle of current friends right now would expect me to like this movie, but I do like The Hangover if it ever appears on television, whether it's on TBS, TNT, whatever. Even though it's the censored, edited version of the film. Networks and their silly little censors. That's why we have ratings, people. If people look at the ratings on the bottom, top, right-hand part, left-hand part of their screen, they'll get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to go with The Hangover. It's pretty gosh darn funny.
Fantastic. Another one of the ones where the sequels, law of diminishing returns with sequels. I think as you're going along, they don't seem to hold up a candle to the originals with them. But there we go. Okay, brilliant. Nearly there, nearly at the end. What is your favourite classic film?
Well, growing up, I was watching certain films and I really enjoyed them. And then once I got older and a little wiser, with no gray hairs in my hair as of yet, so knock on wood for that one, folks. I don't have any gray hair just yet, but it may be coming in the next couple of years. Who knows? But I've seen a lot of Hollywood classics lately. I've been trying to watch more and more because my aspiration is to become a film critic when I graduate from college, which is where I am right now. I'm in college. I'm doing pretty well. I'm an electronic media and film major, so I'm trying to watch as many classic movies as I can. This film, I called on TV, I taped it on my DVR, I watched it, and I was in awe of how good this movie was. And a week or two later, I bought it on Blu-ray, and it's right here in my collection. I'm happy to say it just recently celebrated its 75th anniversary from last year. I'm going to go with Casablanca.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to go with Casablanca. When you think of movies, and you think of Hollywood, and you think of classics, the first thing that should come to your mind, if not maybe one or two other films that some people may think otherwise, you've got to think of Casablanca. You've got to go with Humphrey Bogart. You've got to go with Ingrid Bergman. Just the whole 9 yards of this movie is incredible. It's a love story. It's a drama. It's a movie about standing up for what you believe to be is right, standing up for, to be proud of where, whether you're a citizen of a certain country or you're just, and I recently read a book that my film professor recommended to me called The Making of Casablanca, formerly titled Round Up the Usual Suspects. Yeah. One of the lines from the movie Claude Rains. But yeah, I got to go with Casablanca. It's a great love story, and I would, as soon as Ingrid Bergman walks into the Rick's American, cafe, I was like, okay, who is this beautiful young woman, and can I please jump into a DeLorean time machine, go back in time, and shake this woman's hand and say how lovely she looks tonight? Because Ingrid Bergman, bless your heart, captivated me when she walked into the room. I was like, who is this woman? Where does she come from? What's her story? I want to know everything about her. She just illuminated the screen. I mean, Humphrey Bogart, yes, he's a legend in his own right. Bergman, my friend, she is just... Dolly, one of the most beautiful women for her time. She is Hollywood royalty. I think a lot of people who may listen to the show would agree with me on that, as well as Humphrey Bogart. So yeah, if you want to learn more about movies and you want to educate yourself on how old school Hollywood was back in the heyday, do yourself a favor and watch Casablanca. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. No,
absolutely. A fantastic film. One, obviously, 1942. When it was made, stands the test of time even now. There's not many from that era that hold up still. Quotable lines galore in there. I mean, it's been picked. One of my other guests on here has had it before, so it's not the first. Quotable lines, also one of the most misquoted lines in history, with it never says play it again, Sam. It's nowhere does it appear anywhere in the film. No, great film. So, name the film with the best soundtrack?
Well, we're going to take a step back in time. I'm going to get my DeLorean, and I'm going to go back in time to a lovely decade known as the 1980s, even though I wasn't born until towards the tail end of the 80s. In 1987, speaking of the living daylights, came out in 87. What? I got to go with film that is set in the 70s, but it came out in the 90s. I got to go with Richard Linklater's Dazed and Confused.
Oh,
if
yes.
you want to talk Hollywood soundtracks, and you talk some of the greatest soundtracks of all time, pick any 80s John Hughes movie that have great soundtracks. But if you go to Richard Linklater, he chooses music for very specific reasons, because every song that he puts into his movie has a purpose, and it tells a story about the scene you're about to see with that piece of music being featured in his films. I got to go with Dazed and Confused, because every song that was played the first time I saw this movie, which was actually just a few years ago, for the first time, we watched it on a big projector, big screen in a mini auditorium on my college campus here where I am. And I was like, oh my gosh, why haven't I seen this film earlier? It's got one of the probably best soundtrack I've ever heard in any film, period. It starts out with Sweet Emotion by Aerosmith. Then you get Slow Ride by Foghat. You get all kinds of music, all kinds of bands, just within the rock genre or classic rock genre, whatever you want to call it, alternative rock, what have you. You have up-and-coming actors such as Matthew McConaughey, Ben Affleck, Rory Cochrane. I mean, you have Mila Jovovich, for Pete's sake, was in this movie before she was Alice in the Resident Evil movies. You have what do you call it? A who's who, if you will, of up-and-coming stars or actors and actresses within this film. I mean, heck, I don't know her name offhand. I apologize for this, but the girl who played the love interest in the movie was Adam Sandler's love interest in Big Daddy at the end of the film. I mean, it's insane how many people are in this movie. So I got to go with Dazed and Confused, because I love Aerosmith. I like a little bit of Foghat mixed in there. Slow ride. So many great pieces in there. So thank you, Richard Linklater. Love Dazed and Confused. I love it so much that I bought it on the Criterion Collection Blu-ray. For those of you who are not familiar with Criterion, they are a group of people who put every single kind of special feature and more kind of like really good behind-the-scenes, make-it-of-the-movie kind of stuff on their Blu-rays and DVDs. And I have that, and I also have On the Waterfront Criterion Collection DVD set.
Yeah.
Check out, if you have not heard of the Criterion Collection, go online, look it up. You can find it on Amazon or the Criterion.com or the CriterionCollection.com. You have to do some Googling for that. But check it out. Dazed and Confused. Love that movie. Best soundtrack I've heard.
Well, fantastic. Joey Lauren Adams, by the way, is the woman from Dazed and Confused that was in Big Daddy.
Ah, there it is.
There we go.
Yeah, and she played the character of Layla in Big Daddy. Beautiful girl, by the way. Beautiful.
Yes. Okay, brilliant. So you're not going to go for the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack then?
No, not really. I thought that soundtrack was kind of lame, to be honest with you. There was probably maybe one or two songs I liked in that movie, but other than that, that soundtrack is so lame. I'm sorry, Marvel or MCU or Guardians fans, but it's just it's not my cup of tea.
Not a problem. So I had to put a little needle in there. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Penultimate question. What's your favourite film franchise?
Well, I as a hardcore Superman fan, every fiber of my being wants to say DC, but they have not had the best of track records lately. It's been spotty, to say the least.
To say the least.
Even though you got the director's cuts of 2 of the 5 films, which are Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Suicide Squad, but we'll leave that alone for now. I'm going to have to go with a franchise that rejuvenated itself back in 2015 with The Force Awakens. I got to go with Star Wars. I mean, to me, growing up watching the original 3 Star Wars, pre and post special editions, I still like the original theatrical cuts, and I also still like the special edition. I know a lot of people throw those under a bus and say they don't count, it's not canon. I get that, that's fine. There are a few things I don't like about the special editions, and that takes place in Return of the Jedi, especially with, what's-his-face, Hayden Christensen appearing at the end of Return of the Jedi. That makes no logical / storytelling sense whatsoever, George Lucas. You may want to get your head checked at the door next time for that one.
Yeah.
But I got to go with Star Wars because I like the original 3 films, which are New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
Grew up watching those films, as many generations before me grew up watching those films. That's awesome. That's great. The Force is strong in your family. Bless your hearts. I got to go with Star Wars because Force Awakens is my current favorite movie of all time. I think it's the greatest movie of all time, with The Force Awakens being that one. And also, excuse me, with Rogue One. I mean, I thought Rogue One, even though we didn't get a whole lot of background on the rebels that got the plans for the Death Star, I was still emotionally involved, and the ending really, really hit me, and I got teary-eyed at the end when the ship closes, it docks, it goes off, and then the guy says, "Your Majesty, the transmission we received." And she turns around, and it's a 1977 digitized Carrie Fisher on that young actress, Ingela Delia. I apologize if I'm butchering your name, young lady. But, she did, even though she was the stand-in for her, she did a great job. They hand her the disc, and she says, "Hope." I'm like, oh my gosh! That connects so well to Episode 4. If you watch Rogue One and Episode 4 back-to-back, which I highly recommend you fans do, if you're a Star Wars fan, do yourself a favor. Watch them both back-to-back. Because they go together so well. They're like peas and carrots. Absolutely. Speaking of a Forrest Gump reference, but yes, I'm gonna go with Star Wars. I really enjoyed Force Awakens. I really liked Rogue One. However, The Last Jedi, it depends on who you ask. But for me, I think some things worked in the movie, and I thought some things didn't work in the movie. I thought some risks that Rian Johnson took, I think a few of them paid off, and I think others could have been executed a lot better and a lot more well put together, if you will.
Yeah.
So The Last Jedi, even though I walked out of the film after seeing it 3 times, The Last Jedi is a film an audience member needs to see multiple times to fully understand the story and what they were going for. Because I didn't like it the first time I saw it, and then the second time I liked it a little more, and the third time I saw it in the theaters, I liked it a little bit more then.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I gave it like between a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. It left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. So I'm hoping that with my boy, J.J. Abrams, coming back to finish out the trilogy that he so brilliantly and perfectly, in my opinion, started with The Force Awakens. I cannot wait to see Episode 9 and what J.J. Abrams does with it. But yeah, I would say Star Wars, for me, they are 2 out of 3. They've done pretty well. So they are 2 for 3, but that doesn't mean they can't come back. And who knows? Maybe this film that nobody asked for, known as Solo, a Star Wars story, which, by the way, is one of the lamest titles in cinematic history. Solo, Star Wars story? Give me a flippin' break, Hollywood. But you know what? The teaser trailer, I gotta say, I was pleasantly impressed. I was impressed with the teaser trailer for Solo. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be the best thing since sliced bread just yet. No. I'm gonna wait for the film to come out. I'm gonna go and see it and judge it for its own merits, and then, and only then, will I talk more about it after that. But I would say Star Wars is my favorite franchise, because clearly the Force has returned and the Force has awakened within the franchise, I think for the most part within itself, and bless Lucasfilm's heart, because they've done, for the most part, they've done a really good job up to this point.
No, it's the answer that I put when on my list of this. I think you're perfectly right with Rogue One. Rogue One, obviously, it's the film of the opening crawl from Episode 4. So, but that film, I really enjoy Rogue One. It changed how I, because everyone does it every now and again, or what order did you watch Star Wars films in? For me now, it's Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8. In that order. Last Jedi, yes, it has issues. My main issue with it is Leia. They should have closed her story out to give the fans that have been there a chance of an on-screen farewell. They had the chance of that when she was spoiler, when she was blown into space before
on the bridge.
Yes, and blown into space from there, and bang, done, gone. I appreciate that she hadn't died until the filming had been finished, but so you cut the rest of the scenes, have her float away, she's gone. Everyone gets to say goodbye to one of the most iconic film characters in movie history, a much loved actress in herself, but having her come back and then, because now what farewell we're going to get to her? Is you're going to say goodbye in the opening crawl of Episode 9? Because they've said they're not going to digitise her, they said they're going to recast her. I just don't. That to me, if JJ sorts that out in Episode 9 and has a good send off to a beloved character, then I will applaud and hold my hands up and say fair enough. I understand why now, but at the moment, as it stands, I'm just not there with that part of it.
Yeah, he'll probably retcon a few things that Rian Johnson made some faux pas in.
Yeah.
And he'll, if they do it in the opening crawl, that's fine. But I would prefer them do it in the opening scene of episode 9, which is a funeral scene, but with a closed casket because they said they're not going to digitize her. So I would have it as a closed casket, so you don't have to worry about doing special effects or disrespecting her memory. Just have a closed casket with a cross on it or the whatever. A piece of memorabilia that you can put on top of her casket that says, "We love you. We're going to miss you. Bless your heart. We love you, Princess," or should we say General Leia?
Yeah.
R.I.P. And then we'll just move on with what's left of the Resistance because there's only like 6 people left, counting Rey. So good luck with that. But who knows? Maybe the rest of the galaxy will rise up and say, "Oh yeah, remember when you said you didn't get your distress call? Yeah, we got it. It just took us about 30 more minutes to get it." And then we'll see what happens because we don't really know what the state of the galaxy's in until we find out what happens in Episode 9. So I'm very looking forward to seeing what our boy J.J. Abrams does with the left of the war between what's left of the Resistance versus the First Order, led by Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, which got the title within like 2 seconds, which I thought was cheating. But once again, that's a few more issues I have with the film, but that's a whole other video entirely.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. And we're here at the last question. If there was going to be a film of your life made, who would you want to play you, and who, if there's going to be a casting director, would realistically cast as you?
I had to do just a little bit of Googling, but the first name that came to my mind as far as who would I want to play me in a film, I'm going to go with Stephen Amell's cousin. I'm going to go with Robbie Amell, formerly known as Firestorm on CW's The Flash, and then he made appearances here and there on Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow, which, by the way, Legends of Tomorrow is the best DC TV series that we have within the so-called Arrowverse. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. It's not an Arrowverse. You're just calling it that because it's a business. It's a business platitude, but whatever. I'm going to go with Robbie Amell. He really impressed me with his debut with the short-lived rebooted series of the Tomorrow People.
Yep.
On the CW. I thought he did a brilliant job on that, and I actually really liked that show to the point where I wanted it to get a season 2, but once again, the executives didn't get the numbers they were looking for, and they had to shove it away into the graveyard of TV series and never got another season. So thanks a lot, C-Dub. I got to have words with you if I ever come to your office. And then number 2, who would realistically be best suited to play me? I'd probably have to go with someone who just finished up a movie franchise that ended just a few weeks ago or a week or two ago. Maze Runner: The Death Cure. I got to go with Dylan O'Brien. That guy has really proven himself to be a capable actor and action star with his work in the Maze Runner trilogy. And yes, I actually enjoy the Maze Runner trilogy. I had 1 or 2 issues with Maze Runner: The Death Cure. To me, it felt like a 6-hour movie. It was way too long. I thought they could have fixed up a couple of things and shortened the film by about 30 to 40 minutes. My goodness, it's a long movie, it's a journey, but I'm going to go with Dylan O'Brien. He's really come a long way since his days on Teen Wolf, which, by the way, yes, I did watch a few episodes of Teen Wolf, maybe a season or 2. I like what he did, one of the best TV show I've ever seen, let me just put it to you that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dylan O'Brien, he did well in American Assassin that came out, I think it was last year.
Yes.
Last year. I didn't like the film all that much. I thought the trailers were a lot better than the overall film. I'm sorry, Hollywood, but that occasionally does happen with you. Get it through your head. Robbie Amell, I think he's really doing well for himself. He's got an independent film that he made with his cousin, Stephen Amell from Arrow. They're doing a film called Code 8. Which is funded through, I believe it was Indiegogo or something like that. That should be coming out later on this year. And Dylan O'Brien, I know he's got 1 or 2, maybe a few other projects in the works right now. So, yeah, Robbie Amell or Dylan O'Brien, I think would be fine additions to play me within a film.
Okay, brilliant, and we are done. Thank you once again to this week's guest, Ryan. Just to remind you guys, we are on iTunes as well as Podbeans, so please subscribe. Rate and review, please. That's the main thing. Rate and review on the iTunes. It gets me a lot more exposure on there. It gets me a chance to get proper ratings and see how well I'm doing. If you've got any comments or questions, or indeed fancy being in the hot seat that Ryan's so ably filled this week, we have a Twitter feed at ThatMadeYour. We've got a Facebook page up there at ThatMadeYourList. Or indeed, you can just email me on thatmadeyourlist@outlook.com. That's it. It's been a really enjoyable interview. I've been Dave Goodger. He's been Ryan. And this has been That Made Your List.